We move right along to Mike Pierce versus Seth Baczynski, another welterweight contest. What a fight this is going to be. Pierce 15-5, Baczynski 18-8. Pierce actually is an injury replacement for Kyle Noak coming into that fight in late October. Pierce coming off a second-round knockout win over 12-4 Aaron Simpson on October 5th of this year at UFC on FX5, while Baczynski coming off a knockout win over 17-3 Simeon Thoresen on September 22nd of this year at UFC 152. Both of these guys coming off very impressive victories. Pierce has 7 of 15 wins via knockout, 7 decisions, and 1 submission. Baczynski, 10 of 18 wins via submission with 6 knockouts and 1 decision. Pierce has lost 5 times, all via decision, all to tough guys, including Mark Munoz, Nathan Coy, John Fitch, Johnny Hendricks, and Josh Koscheck. Seth Baczynski has lost 8 times in his career, 3 submissions, 2 decisions, and 1 via knockout. Mike Pierce, though, picking up wins in the UFC over Brock Larson, Paul Bradley, and Carlos Eduardo Roca, while Baczynski has wins in his career over Lance Benoist, Matt Brown, and Alex Garcia here beating him in Montreal. Pierce, 32 years old, has been fighting since 2007. Baczynski, 31 years old, has been fighting since 2006. Pierce has a 7-3 UFC record and was an NC2A Division I wrestler, while Baczynski has a 4-1 UFC record and was on the Ultimate Fighter Season 11 as a middleweight. Baczynski coming into this fight with a 6-fight win streak, originally from Hawaii. He fights out of Arizona, while Pierce trains with Team Quest, fighting out of Portland, Oregon. Mike Pierce minus 285, the favorite. Baczynski plus 225, the dog.
This is my underdog pick of the night, Dave.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you figure? How do you figure Seth Baczynski beats Mike Pierce? Because I figure Mike Pierce beats Seth Baczynski via decision, like he beats a lot of guys, or maybe knocks out Baczynski. But, you know, you look at the way Baczynski wins, 10 via submission, 6 via knockout. Mike Pierce has never been finished. Baczynski has only 1 win of his 18 via decision. I figure if you're going to beat Mike Pierce, you're going to have to take him the distance and beat him that way. And that's not how Baczynski wins. So I like Mike Pierce to win this fight, either via knockout or via decision. But I'm going to go with the favorite, Mike Pierce. Why are you going with Seth Baczynski?
I think that this, ever since rejoining the UFC after beating Alex Garcia here at ringside, that Seth Baczynski is a new, more mature fighter, and he seems to be on an unbelievable roll with 4 fights in a row in the UFC, 4 victories in a row, looking fantastic, beating Lance Benoist, beating Matt Brown, and of course Simeon Thoresen in his last bout, and that was an impressive knockout in my opinion, and that's why I like Baczynski. I think he's going to improve to a 7-fight win streak come Friday night.
All right, so you like Baczynski. I'm going to go with Mike Pierce, and we move along to a light heavyweight bout, another prelim on Fuel TV and Sportsnet here in Canada. Igor Pokrajac, 25-9. He replaced the injured Anthony Perosh in November for this bout. Joey Beltran, 14-8, is his opponent. Pokrajac coming off a second-round armbar loss to Vinny Magalhaes on September 22nd at UFC 152 in Toronto, while Beltran coming off a decision loss to 15-5 James Tehuna on July 11th for the UFC on Fuel TV. That was actually the fight of the night on July the 11th. Pokrajac has 25 wins, 13 via knockout, 8 submissions, and 4 decision, while Beltran has 14 wins, 11 via knockout, 2 via decision, and 1 via submission. Pokrajac has lost 9 times in his career, knocked out 4 of those times, submitted twice, and lost 3 times via decision, while Beltran has lost 8 times in his career, 6 via decision, notably to Matt Mitrione, Pat Barry, and Stipe Miocic, all in the UFC. He was knocked out once by LeVar Johnson and submitted once as well. Beltran has picked up wins in the UFC, though, over Hollis Gracie, Tim Hague, and Aaron Rosa, while Pokrajac victorious in the octagon over Krzysztof Sozinski, Fabio Maldonado, and Todd Brown. Pokrajac 4-4 in the UFC since making his debut in 2009, while Joey Beltran is 3-5 in the UFC since debuting in 2010. So neither of these guys with great records in the octagon. Pokrajac is 33 years old and has been fighting since 2003. Beltran, 31 years old, has been fighting since 2007. Pokrajac is Croatian. Beltran fighting out of San Diego, California, training with the top team there in Alliance MMA, a very good team for mixed martial arts. Brandon Vera, a bunch of guys. Dominic Cruz, a lot of top fighters fighting out of that Alliance MMA squad. Alexander Gustafsson as well. So Beltran getting some good training partners in, but the odds makers like Igor Pokrajac, minus 340. Beltran, plus 260, the dog. I'm going to have to go with Igor Pokrajac as well. I think that Pokrajac will win this fight. I think that he's just better. I think he's just better in pretty much all aspects. I got Pokrajac winning this fight. I don't know how he's going to win, but I expect him to beat Joey Beltran.
I think Pokrajac was on quite the tear and looked really impressive when he forced Krzysztof Baczynski into retirement with that knockout. I think it was like a 35-second knockout. He was looking like he was racking up a few impressive victories in the UFC, and then unfortunately for him, he ran into the submission expert or a jiu-jitsu ace that is Vinny Magalhaes in his last bout, and almost ripped his arm off. That was gross. I'm surprised that Pokrajac is able to fight this early. Even though, it is December, that fight was not that long ago.
Yeah, just a couple months. He didn't really take a beating, but his arm was wrenched. But, a couple days and should be all right.
That's it. But Pokrajac 100% beats Beltran and sends him out of the UFC once again.
Wow. That would be rough stuff for Joey Beltran. How about this one? I don't know. Chad Mendes, 12-1, taking on 18-7 Yaotzin Meza. Meza replacing the injured Hakran Diaz just this week, as Diaz suffering a shoulder injury and Meza stepping in as a very, very late replacement. He's also coming off a loss, a first-round TKO loss to a 3-1 fighter named Andres Quintana on April the 14th of this year in Arizona, while Mendes coming off a sick, nasty 31-second knockout with a body punch of Cody McKenzie on July 7th at UFC 148. It was a beatdown, disgusting. They keep putting Mendes in with guys that really, I don't think, belong in the octagon with Mendes, but in this case, it's kind of an injury type of thing where Hakran Diaz, I think, would have been a great opponent. Yaotzin Meza, I don't know. Mendes, 12 wins, 7 via decision, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. The only guy that's ever beat Chad Mendes, that's Jose Aldo, the champion. He knocked him out for the UFC featherweight title on January 14th of this year in Brazil. Mendes with wins over Eric Koch, Michihiro Omigawa, and Cub Swanson. He's 7-1, a combined record in the WEC and UFC, fighting there since 2010. He's been fighting as a pro since 2008. Of course, representing Uriah Faber's team, Team Alpha Male, out of Sacramento, California. He was an NC2A Division I wrestler and is just 27 years old. Yaotzin Meza, 31 years old, has been fighting since 2006. This will be his UFC debut. Prior to his last fight, though, where he was knocked out in the first round, he was on a 6-fight win streak. He trains with Benson Henderson, the UFC lightweight champion, out in Arizona. He's got 7 of 18 wins via decision, 6 submissions, and 5 knockouts. He has lost 3 times via submission, twice via knockout, notably to Montreal's own Stefan Vigneault here in Montreal in 2008, and he's lost twice via decision. Yaotzin Meza, plus 700, the dog. Chad Mendes, minus 1,400, the favorite. Chad Money Mendes, they call him Money for a reason, because you can bet on him and win money. Whatever you want, put it on Mendes. He is the lock of the night. Chad Mendes is winning on Friday night. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's kind of silly to pick Yaotzin Meza. I just want to know, do you think that it'll be quicker than the Cody McKenzie fight? Under 31 seconds?
Yeah, that's the big question. What's the over-under time in this fight? I'll tell you this. I think it's going to finish in the first round. You look at Yaotzin Meza. He's been submitted twice. He's been knocked out. He's been submitted 3 times, knocked out twice. I think if Stefan Vigneault can knock him out, I figure Chad Mendes can do it too. I think Chad Mendes is very, very good and one of the best featherweights in the world, and I think he'll be able to knock out Yaotzin Meza in the first round. So I'm going with Mendes. I think it'll be maybe longer than 31 seconds, but maybe not. Maybe not.